Coming up on today's episode of the Money Pants podcast, you need to pay your kids cash. Seriously, using debit cards, credit cards, or any kind of digital or virtual currency simply does not work. It may be easier, but it won't accomplish what you're hoping. We'll talk about 5 drawbacks of using virtual currency. We conducted an experiment with virtual currency, and the results may surprise you. Plus, the psychology behind cash and why your brain works better when earning and spending cash. All this and more, but first, the joke of the day.
My wife's credit card got stolen the other day. I haven't bothered reporting it though because the thief spends a lot less than my wife. Hello everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Money Pants podcast. We're your hosts, Hannah and Fontaine Judd. We're the proud parents of 7 sons and 6 daughters, ranging in age from college student to toddler. We're both BYU graduates and the creators of Money Pants. Head on over to CaptainMoneyPants.com to learn more about what we do and what we're all about. We're on a mission to support families who are trying to raise hardworking kids and to combat the current trend of entitlement. Today's topic is paying your kids cash. Why you should do it. Because you should. You should totally pay your kids cash. The reason why is because, well, Hannah, what do you got? You had some ideas on this.
Well, we're going to take you back in time. And when we originally started Money Pants in our home, it was just a paper system. And we'd tally up, what the kids had earned, and they would pay for their own things. And we, of course, would pay them cash. And as it developed, we started working with other families and getting feedback and seeing how it worked with other families, not just ours. And one thing we had discovered as a family, and one thing that other people had run into, was a problem where their kids would have all this money and then they were scared to spend it because they were worried, I'm not going to have enough for this and I'm not going to have enough for that. And so later we were like, hey, we need to develop an app, because an app would make it so much easier to just tally up all the money. So we're not counting little squares or having to add all this up at the end of the week. It would be very convenient to have an app keeping track of this. And then one of the things is we wanted to have a budgeting system that young kids could use. And we looked at budgeting systems available, and there wasn't anything out there like what we wanted. We wanted to have, we wanted our kids to be able to know at any moment how much money they could spend without having to worry about it, and know that they'd still be able to pay their future expenses.
I remember Trixie, she got invited to a party, and she was really excited to go, but she also knew she had, I think it was soccer coming up, and she hadn't earned enough for soccer yet, but she wanted to go to the party, but she ultimately decided she couldn't go to the party because she didn't have enough money and didn't know that if she would,
and she
by the
wasn't
time
willing to give up
soccer started. Yeah, and so soccer was a bigger priority to her than going to the movies with her friends. Fast forward a couple of months, she had plenty of money for soccer when it was due, but it was already too late. She had missed the party with the friends because she didn't know. Yeah. She didn't know if she would have enough money. She didn't want to potentially sacrifice soccer. So what we did is we developed the budgeting portion of the app, which, as you said, at any given moment, you can look and say, this is how much money I can spend today, and I will still have enough money for all of my future expenses.
Yeah, and it tells you, hey, you're on track with all your earnings. You're going to have enough for this. You're going to have enough for that. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Unless it's red, then it'll tell
you
you're behind. And
this money over here, you can spend it on whatever you want, and you don't have to worry, or you can spend this much on clothes today. The money's there. You're not going to ruin your budget. You're not going to cause any problems.
And I know this is off topic, but this was a concept that I wanted when we first got married. And I looked at our bank account, and let's say there was $1,000 in there. And I'm like, I have no idea where that money is supposed to go. I know I need it, but I don't know how much I can spend at any given time. Like, I wanted something to tell me, of this $1,000, well, 500 is for food, and 200's for utilities, 150 is for this. And I wanted a breakdown.
Yeah, because for adults, it's just as stressful for us, where we're like, I have this money. Can I spend it? I don't know.
And
I'm not sure. And so
that was the concept.
So Money Pants, a huge part of it, and probably the hardest part to get made actually is the budgeting section of the app. And there's nothing else like it on the market. And it's simple enough that even a little kid can use it, and it takes the stress out of it. So they have this pile of money. They look at the app and they know what the money's for and where it's going and what it needs to go for and how much they can spend at any given moment. It just at a glance, they can have that information and not be stressed about it. But the interesting thing is, after we made this, it worked great. Of course, we worked out a couple bugs and whatnot. That's just part of development. But we realized, wait a minute. With these piggy banks, you do payday and it distributes breaks up your money into these piggy banks. We said, wait a minute. Maybe we don't need to use cash at all.
No. The way it used to be was on payday, the kids would tally their points with the little paper charts, tally their points. I'd get all the cash from the family safe, and I'd have 20s and 10s and 5s and 1s.
Yeah.
And I would round it, and I'd do all the math with the kids and make sure their math was right. And then I'd hand them over the money, and then they'd pay their expenses and fees. And it was this big ordeal, all this cash exchange, and it was a kind of a production.
Yeah.
And we're like,
wait a minute.
Especially, and at the time, I think we had 11 children.
Yeah. And so.
Or maybe 10, I think maybe 10 children using the system. And it would take me an hour.
To do payday.
Wouldn't it be so much better if we just got rid of that?
Yeah. And with this app, we looked at it and we said, hey, wait a minute. What if you didn't pay your kids the cash and instead you just used the app by itself as a digital currency?
Brilliant.
Absolutely
brilliant.
So basically, this week you earned $30 and I click pay. That $30 gets distributed into all the different piggy banks. Mm-hmm. And instead of actually paying the kid cash, I just say, hey, it's there in your piggy banks digitally. It's like a credit. You have a $30 credit for clothes sitting there. You have $350 saved up for football there. Mm-hmm. And
it's all there in the app.
Dad and I will pay that much towards that. You've got a credit for that.
So when that's due.
When that's due.
Mom and I will whip out the card and we'll pay it. And we'll just deduct it from your digital currency, your piggy banks.
We'll just say spending and it takes it out of the piggy bank. And
everything is super simplifies it. It's great.
Well, it solved a bunch of problems. One is you didn't have to worry that somebody was going to steal somebody else's money.
Right.
Because
there's
somebody
no cash.
Put some money down. Oh, no, that's my money. No, that was my money. We didn't have to worry about that. We didn't have to worry about anybody losing their money.
Which can
happen, especially the younger kids. And
we had ways around that.
We had ways around that, but I'm like, hey, you don't have to worry about that at all when it's a digital currency. And then we didn't have to do the big trips to the bank. We wouldn't have to do these trips to the bank. We wouldn't have to have cash on hand.
I was surprised how often I ran out of ones. I was genuinely surprised how often I had to go back to the bank.
Yeah, and then it would really speed up payday. Instead of having to count the money out, you could just click pay.
All done.
The money, done. You're done.
Yep.
That's how simple payday could be. And then the last thing was you wouldn't have to worry or have anything in place to prevent your kids from misusing their money. So,
because when they have access to all that cash.
That was supposed to go towards music lessons and you spent it on
a skateboard,
skateboard or,
or clothing.
So now we had things in place to prevent that and to discourage that.
But this completely eliminated that because
that wouldn't even be a possibility.
Mom and Dad are the gatekeepers. We were the ones holding the card that.
If we did a digital currency, that would not happen. Yeah. And so we thought, brilliant. We're all about efficiency.
Yep.
And so anyway, we decided to try it out on our guinea pigs.
And we've named them. Tia, Caleb, Trixie, Ruby, Super 5 Falcons, Sassy, Black, Vodka,
So we decided to...
We named our guinea pigs.
Yeah, we tried it out, and we tried it out for an extended period of time. What we discovered, however, there are huge drawbacks to using a digital currency. And so if you have Money Pants, you can use it as a digital currency. It's possible.
Yeah.
That's an option. However,
we're strongly
we
recommending don't do
strongly
that.
recommend don't do it. And here is why.
If you do use digital currency, we might reach through the app and stop you.
Good. But here's what happened when we switched from paying our kids cash and just using the app to help manage the money versus making the app the money.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go over it. Number 1, the kids became less picky about their spending.
This was weird.
So
This was really weird. We thought the kids have worked so hard to earn this money. It doesn't matter if they're using cash or a virtual currency. They're going to use the same principles of shopping and spending and be as meticulous as they were before. But no, all of a sudden, for whatever reason, when they weren't spending cash, these spending habits became weird, and they weren't particular about what they were buying. They
wanted to do impulse buys, like total impulse buys. Where it was like, oh, I can I don't know, where they thought of it. They weren't thinking of it as their money, or I don't know what the deal is, but they're just like, oh, I want that. I want that. I want that. I want that.
They wouldn't look at the price tag.
Looking at the price.
They wouldn't look at the different qualities. Like, they didn't shop around at all. It was really weird. Well, no, the other day we were at Lowe's because we were buying a replacement shovel for the one that broke.
Mm-hmm. We just needed a shovel. One shovel.
All of a sudden, all the kids wanted to buy shovels.
These were $15, $20 shovels, Home Depot.
What?
And so
they did. They all bought. We walked out of there with what, five shovels? Well, but it was weird. Like, they didn't think, do I need a shovel? Why do I need a shovel?
Is this what I wanted more than this or more than that? Or
is this how I want to spend my fun money? Or is this how I want to spend my, like, it was just weird.
Yeah, because they weren't thinking about it.
So that was one of the first things we noticed where we're like, the spending is
changed.
Yeah, how they compare that to Superstar when we took her shopping when we still had her little expense
cash
baggie and
bags.
And we took her shopping for new shoes, and she refused to buy the expensive shoes. She loved them. She thought they were great, but she's like, they're too much.
I'm not spending that money.
I can get them at the thrift store for less.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, okay.
And that's how all our kids were when we had cash.
Yeah.
And then all of them got, oh, yeah, I want a $6 milkshake and this and that. And can I have this too? And where it all of a sudden they were doing very impulsive. They were disconnected from.
That was weird.
The fact that they had worked really hard for this money and there was a limited amount and they just were not aware of it. So the next thing is fees on the app. You can charge your kids up to 3 fees a day. If like there's fighting or disobedience, you can charge your kids fees. Mm-hmm. And when we were dealing with cash,
the nice thing is that it's pre-calculated, so it's very clear how much the fee should be, how much you should charge. And if you're doing more than 3, well, maybe it's been a rough day, send them away. It keeps track of how many fees a kid's got.
Yeah.
You can look back and, maybe you use that as a tool to determine if they can go somewhere at the end of the week. You look back and see how many fees they got, all that stuff. Fees are great, and it's nice to have it on the app, but
here's what we noticed is when we would charge them a fee when it was digital currency, it didn't mean anything.
It was
like, yeah, they're just going to take it out of my...
Yeah, mark it on the app.
Mark it on the app. Mark it on the app. And they didn't realize, whoa, you had to work a half hour, 45 minutes for that amount of money. Like, of hard work.
There was this weird disconnect.
Whereas when they had cash and you said, hey, you know what? You're fighting. Go get me $1. It was tears.
No. I remember, I think it was Caleb who had, I want to say he had set
like $1,100.
I don't remember if it was that much. I thought it was like $700, but it doesn't matter. He had a large sum in his bank account. And he was saving up for something. I think it was for football or scout camp or maybe both. He had a lot of money in his bank account. And I think maybe he was fighting or he said a bad word or something. I'm like, oh, go get me $1. That was the fee. And he got so upset. He's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, blah, blah, blah. And he was, can I earn it back? What can I do? Like, say he had $1,000 in his bank account. That's what, 0.1%?
Yeah.
And because it was cash. For some reason, he got really upset. And all the kids were the same way. Like that $1 fee had all sorts of power.
Like tears.
Yeah.
It was tear-worthy to get a fee. Whereas
that was something they dreaded. They would do everything in their power to avoid a fee. You didn't want a fee. And if you got a fee, you'd do everything to reverse the fee and to somehow earn it back.
Yeah, because usually what I would do is say, hey, I got this $1. It's in my pocket. And tell you what, I'll give it back to you at the end of the day if there's no more of this nonsense.
Mm-hmm. And if
you know
not,
what? If not, I'm collecting another one.
It goes to my personal ice cream budget.
Yeah, to make me feel better about having to put up with this. And it did. It actually, and that was my next point, is it made me feel so much calmer to collect that $1.
It is amazing. It is amazing. That works so,
because
Hannah,
honestly,
that works so well. That is, I don't understand that.
If your kids are torturing you, you need to be compensated. And you actually are being compensated. And it would just like...
But the fees totally removes all the anger. It just like that. And I don't know that there's got to be some psychological reason for it. There's got to be some explanation for why. But when the kids are fighting or they're teasing or whatever, and you walk over to them and you can feel your blood boiling and you're like, all right, FJ, go get me $1. And they come back and they're all upset and they're crying and they hand over
they hand me $1.
They hand over the $1. All of a sudden,
you put it in your pocket.
There's no anger. I am not angry at all.
Yeah. I feel just as calm and as lovely.
And I can be kind of go, I'm sorry you were fighting. That really bums me out. I know this is money that you worked hard for. Tell you what, if you can go the rest of the day,
I'll let you earn it back.
You can earn it back. But if not, this is mine. And I can be calm and loving and the wonderful father that I know I can and should be, all because of a stupid $1 fee. I don't know the psychology, but I know it works because I've done it forever.
But I will tell you, when we were doing digital currency, it
didn't work at all.
We tried this for a long time. So it wasn't like, oh, it didn't work that week that you tried it. No, we gave this a solid,
good old-fashioned college try.
Yeah, good old-fashioned college try. We really tried to make this work because it would be so much easier. So we really wanted it to work, and we really tried to make it work. It wasn't the same. It was not nearly as effective as hard, cold cash. But the only reason fees would work when we had the digital thing, the only reason the fees would work is if we said, oh, you can't watch TV at night if you have a fee. And so that was the only reason they mattered at all.
And it's because of the immediacy of the consequence.
Yeah, but it was something else that they wanted that was not money.
When fees were digital and it was just a digital fee, it was like, yeah, whatever, take it out of Money Pants. And they didn't think twice about it because it didn't even affect them. And it would somehow get all lumped into their payday, and sometimes they wouldn't even notice. Mm-hmm. Whereas when we associated the virtual currency fee with a privilege, as you said, it was the privilege that got them upset about the fee, not the money.
Not the money. And so, whereas before,
when we were using cash,
if you have cash, it can be a double whammy.
Actually, privilege and cash.
If you combine privileges
Which I don't
and
think
cash.
Did we ever have to do that?
I don't think see what happened is we discovered the whole privilege thing when we were broke and couldn't pay our kids at all. Right. And so we kind of had to...
Everything was based off of privileges. That was the currency.
For a while, we didn't do Money Pants at all. And I was pulling my hair out and I was going crazy. I was yelling at my kids. I was nagging. I was like, how do other parents do this without Money Pants? I'm going crazy. And my blood pressure was high every day. I couldn't handle it. I'm like, no wonder people are like, how can you handle more than 3 kids?
Because you can't.
You can't. It'll kill you. And so
you will be dead.
Yeah. And so I was just like, I can't handle this anymore. And
you will die.
we came up with a way of the kids earning points. We didn't have anything we could buy them. There was nothing. We had no money for anything. Nothing.
We didn't even have money for light bulbs.
Yeah, we didn't have money for light bulbs.
Our house was dark.
Our house was. We were about to lose our house. Couldn't pay our utilities. We didn't have any money, so we couldn't pay our kids money. And so the only way that we finally restored a modicum of sanity to our home was to use Money Pants and use it as points where they could earn a movie once a week. And I wouldn't let them watch a movie any other time. It was because it was my only commodity. And we had owned a movie collection of great movies, and they could earn movie night. And if they earned above a certain amount, they could invite a friend over. And so it was like using that as a privilege. If they earned above a certain amount, I would pop popcorn, or something like that. So that's where
that was our adaptation. But even then,
it was an adaptation. It wasn't as effective.
No,
it was not as effective as Money Pants.
It worked.
But it kept us from going crazy.
But it was really not that effective. But
it was so much better than not doing anything.
It was better than nothing. But it compared to the cash fee. And working
keep
with
in mind,
cash,
we have a big
we
have a big family. And so, you're like, oh, cleaning up after 2 kids. It's actually not possible when you have 10, 11, 12 children. It's not possible for you to clean the house yourself. It just turns into an overwhelming disaster if your house isn't functioning properly, if people aren't doing their part. And so you have to have a system in place. The bigger your family, the more important it is that you have a system in place. And it's not just your sanity, it's the sanity of your kids as well. It's everyone who lives there. You need that calmness, that organization. So anyway, but the digital currency, 3
roadblocks. Fees didn't work. Shopping became
impulsive.
Shopping habits and behaviors became erratic, impulsive, and didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then the third one was, you noticed this, where on shopping trips, all of a sudden, because you're the one actually swiping the card, even though it's their money, but you're the one, you're like the gatekeeper.
Because I would swipe my card, and then I'd pull out the app and subtract it from their account and say...
All of a sudden, you noticed that, and I remember you complaining about this, the kids are always nagging me.
Yeah. So, you know how, you go to the store and kids are like, Mom, will you buy this? Mom, will you buy that? Mom, will you buy this?
No. I remember a girl at the store. I was at, I think, Michael's or whatever with one of my daughters buying some project for a school project, some materials for a school project. And this, probably a 13-year-old, I'm not going to call her bratty, but she was not a very kind little girl, with her dad there, just like me. And there was some little keychain, stupid, chintzy thing in the checkout line. And she's like, Daddy, buy me this. And it was like $20. And I was thinking, I wouldn't buy that. And the dad goes, no, I'm not buying that. And she goes, Daddy, you never buy me anything. Daddy, I hate you. And I was like, whoa. From 0 to 60 at 3.5. That was really fast from, please, Daddy, I love you, to I hate your guts because you won't buy me this stupid $20 keychain thing that she would never use. I don't even think she knew what it was. She just thought it was cute. But it was like $20. And the dad was like, I'm not going to buy that. And all of a sudden, she just flew into this rage of how much she hated him. And she's throwing a tantrum right there in the store. And I was like, wow.
Anyway.
Wow. And that's the thing, though, is a lot of parents deal with that, where they're like, Mom, buy me this. Dad, buy me this. And we used to say, oh, well, did you bring your money?
Yeah. And when
our kids would ask us to buy them something, we would turn right back to them and go, oh,
did you bring your money?
Did you bring your money?
And that was end of conversation.
Because if they did, they'd be like, oh, I could buy it. And if they didn't, the answer's no. It was so easy.
Yeah, and a lot of times I'd be going to the store. Mom, you're going to the store? And then they'd go get their money bags. And they'd have it there. And they'd be shopping. And they'd be looking at how much things cost. And it
was amazing.
But they weren't talking to me.
And they were price comparison.
Yeah.
And they've been to this store and this store. And they realized, oh, wait, those gloves that I want are way cheaper over here. Or, oh, here's the clearance rack. Yeah.
So
but once we introduced the virtual currency, and we were the ones actually swiping the card, even though we were spending their money, for some reason, that disconnect, the kids started nagging you.
Yeah. And then, but it was a combination of things, because I knew they were doing weird impulse buys. I'm like, no, guys.
I'm not going to buy you a poster of...
I'm not going to buy you a water bottle. We have 20 or 30 at home. What? Mom, please.
We let them buy the shovels because we figured we would end up using those.
but
that
all
was very
of a sudden,
selfish of us.
Yeah, but you see, the issue here was all of a sudden it turned back into me being in charge of their money and making, and all of a sudden it turned into bugging me at the store and nagging me at the store to buy them things and get things. And can I get this? Can I get this? Can I get this?
What we thought was going to be a great idea really kind of wasn't.
Yeah, and it turned into me saying, hey, look, if you ask me one more time, I'm not bringing you shopping with me anymore, Just cut it out.
Which is too bad.
Because I'm trying to focus on my shopping.
But we want our kids to...
I don't want somebody asking me every minute if they can buy something different when I'm trying to go through my shopping, grocery shopping, or,
But we wanted the kids to learn how to do that. We wanted them to be aware of the price of things and to look at different pricing and understand the concept of shopping. And so we would take them shopping and with us, and we encouraged that. But with the virtual currency, man, that was a huge
there's just a disconnect.
And that was it. And that's what we discovered.
A disconnect.
There was some disconnect between virtual currency and how the kids interpreted it.
And we could not figure out a way to remedy that. There were a couple of other drawbacks, but those are the main ones. I'll just quickly go over the other drawbacks. One was on payday before, when we had to divvy out the cash, we'd all get together at the table, and with the cash, everybody would get their bags put in front of them. They'd see exactly how much money they had, if their pile was little or big, and they'd see everybody get paid their cash. And then we would go over their week with them. We'd go, okay, you did this, wow, you earned this much. And my one daughter noticed, she's like, I used to like that because, I'd have a competition with my brother to see who could earn more. And you'd see, it was just a fun competition for her. But there was also this kind of positive peer pressure where if you didn't mark your points all week and you earned $1, it was actually embarrassing.
Because everybody's there.
Because I'm the mom and I'm supposed to be working on my habits and stuff. And all the kids are like, Mom, so what's your problem? Haven't learned to make your bed yet? So there was this a little bit of pressure, but also there was more reporting. Whereas when it was digital, all you had to do is click on people's name, click pay, and they were done.
Yeah.
And so it got to the point, I need to do payday. I'll just do it right here and not go.
Well, no, but that was
not
the thing,
get everybody together.
We thought we were being more efficient, but it turns out
it was less efficient.
There are some things you actually don't want to make go faster.
Yeah, the reviewing on payday is actually where you report your progress, and it's also where you think of how could I do better at that.
It's also
where you because you have to answer to somebody else.
It's kind of like, think of it like a team meeting. Like after the big game, you go back and review film and see how everybody did. Because it is, if we're talking about running the family like a team, then payday should probably be done.
Yeah,
like a team.
The team meeting afterwards.
And to see, who was dropping the ball, who was doing well, and we give proper accolades for those who don't, and motivation for those who maybe need to step up their game a little bit.
Because payday's not a time.
It's not a bagging party.
No, you don't criticize anybody.
No. On payday, there's zero criticism. Zero.
No.
None at all.
But you can say, hey, okay, so you didn't write in your journal at all. Like one time I remember doing that and saying, hey, so you didn't write in your journal at all. Why aren't you writing in your journal? I don't know where a pen is. Okay.
Let's get you a pen.
Let's take care of that. And sure enough, then they started writing in their journal.
Yeah.
Problem solved. And so it's just a time to analyze. Like one time I wasn't reading my scriptures and I realized I hadn't read my scriptures in a year.
What?
This was when you and I would report to each other.
Okay.
Or I had the goal, and one time we were reporting, I'm like, why am I not reading my scriptures? I want to read my scriptures. I should be reading my scriptures. I need it. And then I realized I lost my scriptures. and once I realized, I'm like, why aren't you reading your scriptures? And once, I don't know, I had to verbally explain it. It sounded so stupid.
So that caught me off guard. Why am I not reading my scriptures? oh, I lost them.
I know. So I went and bought myself some scriptures, and then I started reading them again. It's just, but a lot of times there's just stupid things like that where
It's almost always
where when you have to
simple
report
like
to somebody else, it kind of comes to the surface.
it reveals the silliness of the excuse why you're not doing something.
Yeah. So anyway, so that the payday thing and not reporting and not seeing other people getting paid, that also was a drawback. And along those same lines, we stopped for younger kids. Most people who use the Money Pants app have older kids, but some of our users have younger children, and we certainly do. And so when you're first teaching younger kids about money, how you do it is you have a prize bag, and you have where you've gone shopping for and let them pick out clothes and the shoes that they like the best, and you go, I'm putting this in your prize bag.
Right. And that's really effective.
And then on payday, as their bag fills up, you go, oh, you got $4. No, that's not enough for these yet. But you pull out the prize bag and you count their money and say, oh, you need 2 more of those. And then finally, when they're able to take their money, pay it to you, and then they get the prize out, they start making the connection very fast between I did my job, I got those green things, and those green things got me a prize out of here. I was able to trade those, give those away, and get this back. And
even a 3-year-old starts understanding money.
Yeah. And so when they're under maybe 6, 7, like by 8 years old, they don't need a prize bag. But under that age, a prize bag works really well. So we stopped doing that when it was a virtual currency because a little kid, there was nothing for them to hand over, and they didn't understand the number on the app. So there was a huge disconnect for the little kids. One of the things next, this is maybe seems minor, but one of the perks of paying your kids cash and everybody having cash bags is that it was nice having emergency cash on hand.
Right.
You know,
we no longer had emergency cash because everything was virtual.
Yeah.
I mean, I had what was in my wallet, which sometimes is nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and what if, and everybody knows you should have an emergency supply of cash in your home. But even if it's only a couple $100, you need to have just that cash.
By virtue of us having cash to pay our kids, by virtue of our kids having cash, we had emergency cash always on hand.
And it wasn't much, but it was always there.
Yeah. And so it was just kind of a security thing.
I think at the most, maybe a couple grand.
Yeah.
But that was just it, because our kids had expenses. They never had more than a couple $100 in their bank account at any given time.
Yeah, but we have so many that yeah. So anyway, it added up. But we had emergency cash. If there was an earthquake or some disaster,
and we needed money,
and we needed cash, and couldn't get to the bank or whatever, we had cash.
Yeah.
So that was nice. So those are the main reasons. But along those lines, during the COVID-19, my kids were playing a game they called the city game. And in the backyard, they all built little houses out of scrap material, and they set up a city in the backyard. They had police officers. Everybody had a different role in the city, and they would make things in their little huts that they had built. They'd make little clay pots, or they'd weave things out of
the city game. Yeah.
They called it, and then they would put whatever they made up for sale. Mm-hmm. And they had found like nickels and pennies and stuff like that, and they were using this currency to buy and trade
actual
things.
Currency.
Yeah, like pennies and dimes and quarters, and they didn't have very many of them, but they were using those to run their city. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that they would get so upset. They'd come and cry, I gave them this, and then I had a quarter, or I had a nickel or 2 pennies, and then they didn't give me my pennies back, and I gave them the thing back, and they'd be bawling and crying and more. And I'm like, they're more excited about their pennies and dimes and nickels than they are about their money pants money. Yeah. Because it's not tangible. Yeah. And so that was a real eye-opener. So as we've expressed, and as we've gone down this list of reasons, there is a disconnect.
Yeah, well, that's what we determined.
With the digital
that's what we
currency.
determined, that
But
Hannah, we tried this for almost 2 years. We tried doing a virtual currency
because
variations
we
of
were
it.
making this app and we wanted a digital currency to work really badly.
Because it would simplify everything.
We're all about efficiency. We love efficiency, but
But it also has to be
we're
effective.
not at the expense of effectiveness.
Yeah.
And so
And we had traded in effectiveness for efficiency or speed, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but our goal is to help our kids develop their talents, to bring out the very best in our kids, to teach them to work, to teach them to budget.
Good behavior, good manners, good shopping, good money management. And that all fell flat when we took cash out of the equation.
And so people used to be like, oh man, what do you do? What's your secret? All the time. People would be like, what's your secret?
It used to be people would stop us, no joke, on a daily basis. We would get asked, wait, these are all yours? They're so well behaved. What's your secret?
What's your secret?
Or people would see us, come up to us after church and go, okay, I have 6 kids in my Sunday school class. Yours is the most angelic one of all. They know all the answers. They're always so polite. They help me with the class. What's your secret? It was constant on a regular basis until
we went broke. we went broke.
And we couldn't do our system anymore.
And then we didn't do our system. And then nobody asked us what our secret was during that time.
They're like, what's your problem?
What's your problem? Why do you have so many kids?
Don't you have TV?
Yeah. Anyway, and so then when we started pulling out of it and we're like, we're going to do the very lowest level of money pants, but let's work on this virtual currency.
Yeah.
It improved things, but not to the level it had been.
Not even close.
Before.
But it was better than nothing.
So there just is a disconnect. And it didn't matter if it was the older kids or younger kids. Across the board, there was a disconnect. But guess what? We're not the only ones who have discovered this.
Yeah, we're not unique.
We're not unique.
Newsflash,
Our kids
we're
are not unique. Adults have the same problem. And so I'm sure you guys have heard of Dave Ramsey. I'm sure some of you guys are big fans of his. Mm-hmm. And so he talks a lot about cash versus plastic.
Yeah.
So, can you summarize what...
Okay, so he works with adults who have financial challenges. That's kind of his forte. That's his expertise. He does a lot of things with money, but he really tries to help people who are over their head with debt. In over their heads with debt and crushing debt, and he's trying to help them get out of that situation. Adults.
Yeah, and he's really good. He's really good at what he does.
We're having problems with money. And he discovered something very early on, that handling cash, having cash is the first step to reconnecting with money.
And getting your spending under control.
And he says cash is a funny thing. Basically, he says it's an emotional thing. When you spend cash, he says it activates emotions in your brain. It can be good or they can be bad.
Well, I think he was actually quoting studies where they've actually
he had a whole bunch of studies.
People.
And in the internet world, he says there's this whole concept of friction, where the basic idea is the harder it is for you to buy something, the less likely you are to buy it. So, for instance, if you're in a long line at the store, you'd be like, what am I doing? And you just put the thing down and walk out. You're not going to wait in line because it's not worth it to you for the pack of gum. The harder it is for you to buy the thing, the less likely you are to buy it. And it's called friction. Well, then he goes on to say, there's this concept of emotional friction when you go to spend cash. You feel a pain or loss, and they've done studies on this, the old brain scan thing, where when you let money out of your hand, it actually triggers the pain sensors in your brain, where your brain is telling you that you've lost something. And it's called emotional friction. And the greater the pain, the less likely you are to spend the money. But it only happens with cash. And he points out, he's like, okay, here, give you an example. Take out your credit card and then put a $100 bill on the table. When you hand over the $100 bill, there's that emotional oh, there goes my money. But the credit card or the debit card, you hand it to the person, they swipe it, then they hand it back. The cash never comes back. It's gone. You got the item, great. But the cash, that you've lost something, and you got something in return, but that's gone. Whereas the debit card or the credit card, you hand over the plastic, and then they hand you the plastic back and the goods.
You feel like you got something for free, like it's
And
Christmas.
it's actually a reward. It's rewarding your brain for purchasing something. And he goes on and he explains it in more detail, but it's a subtle difference. But he says, and the studies show that people who use plastic or any sort of virtual currency spend way more, 2-3 times more.
Yeah, he said like McDonald's found that people, if they let them use credit cards, they would spend 70% more
than if they had paid cash. And we have experienced that with our, as we just explained.
We didn't watch his thing until after we did our experiment.
Well, no, but the thing is, though,
we experienced our experience backed up exactly what he described.
And he says your brain tells you that spending that cash hurts. To see the money leave your hand, it actually triggers the pain sensor in your brain. He didn't explain why, though, and I think I know why. I took it one step further. I think this is it. It's when you work hard and you earn cash for that work, you associate the cash with what you did. So the cash is like, it's a physical manifestation of your effort. This is what my effort looks like. It looks like this $50 or $20 or whatever it is. That's
how hard I work.
Yes. And it's very satisfying to hold the cash that you earned through your hard work and effort. It's like it's a part of you. And I guess in a sense it kind of is. But you put forth the energy and effort and time and transformed that into cash. And it's cathartic and it's very satisfying. So when you go to spend that cash, you feel that you're giving a part of yourself away. You're actually losing a part of yourself. You're giving a part of yourself away. And of course, the whole emotional friction thing is if the thing you're getting back in return isn't greater than or equal to the cash you're giving away, you're not going to do it. And that's the power of cash, is that there's that very clear connection between you and the money, the tangible. And I'm sure there's more psychology behind it than that, but that's what I discovered is like, oh, it is a part of me. I've worked, I transformed it into money, and giving that money away, I'm giving a part of myself away. It's like this great check on your spending when you're using cash. And that's what Dave Ramsey taught. He's all about that. He explains why, he tells everybody, oh, cut up those credit cards, cut up those debit cards, cash only system to begin with, just to get out of the bad spending habits that you've developed. And he's right. And I don't want to go into all that because...
Yeah, you can look him up. You can
He's got some really good concepts that we totally agree with, especially on this point. So what we're saying is virtual currency for kids is no different at all. It doesn't work because there's that disconnect. There's no connection
in the brain
for the kid. They just can't make that. And if adults can't make that connection, what makes you think kids can? It's so important for kids to learn and to see directly this effort.
I worked. This is what I got.
Into this money.
Yeah.
This money, then I'm translating it into these goods. So now they're making the connection in their brain. Those goods, those things that I wanted, are a direct result of my effort. And that's what we're trying to teach. That's exactly what Money Pants is all about, is rewarding kids and teaching them the value of hard work and effort. That's what we want.
Yeah. Now, you're probably wondering, you're like, yeah, but a lot of our purchases nowadays are online. Mm-hmm. And you have to use plastic.
Yeah.
You can't get the things that you want.
I'm going to clarify. We actually have a credit card and we get points. And we get all these great perks. 5% cash back and all that. We use that for fun money. And it's great. So I'm not poo-pooing credit cards or debit cards. I'm saying for kids.
For kids or someone having trouble with managing their money.
Very bad idea. Go with cash only.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But you're probably thinking, yeah, but my kids, they, a lot of times things that they want to do, they don't accept cash, mm-hmm. or you want to buy something online, or you have to have plastic. Mm-hmm. Well, the app has that ability for you to use your card. So let's say your kid wants to buy something on Amazon, like they've been saving up for a go-kart. Mm-hmm. It's only on Amazon. And so you use your credit card to buy it, but let's say it's $60. But first you go, okay, go get your $60.
Ah,
Hand it over.
right.
You're sure you want this? It's $60. Okay, hand me your money.
So the disconnect is
There-
not
yeah,
there anymore.
are
The
you sure
connection-
this is worth it to you? Okay. Okay, this is $60. Go get me your cash.
Right.
So they still have to give you the cash. Then all you do is you purchase it, and then on the app where they enter in their spending, they say, okay, I bought a go-kart, it was $60, and on the bottom it says, did the family or did a parent purchase this for you?
Right.
And then you would say, yes, the parent purchased it for me. And then
They've already paid you back.
they've already paid you back, or they can pay you back on payday.
Right.
If
But we're
there's
suggesting.
then would be better.
Yeah.
Because it avoids that impulse buy, but it will remind you on payday if you didn't do that.
So that functionality is already in there. Anyway.
So, but yeah, so that is the experiment that we did. So you may be looking at other programs where, I use this digital currency for my kids, and for their allowance or whatever. We have done this experiment.
And it doesn't
and
work.
It's
virtual
not
currency
as
or virtual
effective.
credits or anything virtual, anything other than cash, basically, doesn't work.
There is a disconnect. Okay.
And so when you use debit cards or credit cards or basically any form of virtual money, that emotional friction that we talked about, it's not there. It's gone. So the natural inhibitions of buying something are gone. The part of you that says this is not a good deal is gone. That's when you overspend.
And also the thrill of earning it is gone.
So we recommend using cash. It's powerful. It's effective. It keeps things real. It keeps money as a tangible, understandable concept, especially for kids who are developing their concept of money. And that way payday has more meaning. Spending has more meaning. Fees have more meaning. Because the cash is doing its job and it is working for you.
That was the main thing, because there's no need for hundreds of people to go through the same experiment we went through.
Yeah,
right?
We already did it.
Right. We've already done this for you.
Don't make the same mistakes we make. That's kind of the point.
Yeah. So
that's all we have. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for listening. Enjoy another musical masterpiece from the fabulous Falcon Jasper.
Yeah, and if you like what you hear, tell your friends about it. And,
that probably wouldn't hurt.
Give us a thumbs up, right?
And if I forgot to mention, if you have suggestions for future podcasts, go to our website, go to support, contact us, type us a quick message, and we will try to make your suggestions into a future podcast. Thanks again for joining in. See you next time.